Okay, I will turn it over to Kechi and Marius.
Okay. um, I will go first. Cool, if that's okay with you, Marius. But
Ah,
yeah. So hi everyone. This is really something that obviously is very personal to me to be able to use my own personal experience as a burn survivor to possibly just help anyone who's going through it right now. Whether it's just advice on how to like literally deal with the scars, like the physical part of the journey, and like medical stuff that's helped me that maybe you might not be aware of that could help you, or whether it's like some emotional stuff that you might be going through. Maybe I've gone through it too, and you never know what sharing these experiences with other people that are in the same shoes that you've been in, you never know what kind of impact it can have on them. So it's things like that, is the sharing and communicating that I feel can possibly help. Even if it's one out of like 100 people, I think it makes a difference. It's a good enough reason to share our experiences. So that's why I'm here today. And so my hope obviously is that something I say today might just help, might just be the one thing that someone needed to hear. um and if not, at least there's always that, there's like a comfort in knowing that you're not alone in the kind of experiences that you're going through, especially as burn survivors. So I'll just start with just saying who I am and all that kind of stuff. My name is Kechi. I'm 31. I'm a burn survivor, obviously. I'm a singer. I soon to be author, and I am obviously a burn survivor advocate. I'm also a bullying preventions advocate, and just really an advocate for anything positive and anything that supports the idea of people living their best lives and living their most authentic lives and presenting that authenticity to the world on whatever platform that they have available to them. So that's really just what I do. I'm a champion of life, and of not just surviving but thriving despite the hand that life deals you. And all of us here have been dealt pretty difficult hands in life, I would say, but we're still here. So that has to count for something. um, I was in an accident, a plane crash, when I was 16 years old in my home country, Nigeria. I sustained third-degree burns over 65% of my body. So basically everything from my head to my toes burned except for my torso, which is where that's where they got skin from to cover everywhere else up, in the beginning of my treatment. And then eventually I moved to America. And this is where I had my reconstructive surgery, where they basically gave me back my independence. I came here to this country in a wheelchair. I couldn't move. My scars had tightened so heavily that I literally could not like use my joints and muscles properly, but when I moved here, with Stranded Hospitals for Children in Galveston, that's where they basically did the kind of surgeries that were able to give me back like my practical movements, walking, doing things by myself, my independence. I got that back here. Everything took the span of from 2005 when the accident happened to my last surgery, which was last year. So we're talking about 14 years, in the middle of all this recovery. So yeah, it's a long journey. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. It takes a long time. And the thing about burn scars is that they constantly change and move. As of yesterday, I was still having like strange experiences with my scars, where like I'll have phases where my itching is like over, like through the roof for no reason, and then a phase where like everything's just like silent and my meds work and all that. But it's something that I've noticed just with my experience, that it's definitely not something that it doesn't, the scars that we have, they don't stay stagnant, and they don't just stop it there's no like time when it just stops and then you're just set and that's the way things are going to be set for life. Like there's a huge difference in how I looked last year and how I look this year, facially even. And this is 14 years down the line. So it's definitely something, it's an ongoing journey for sure. What I will say is that every day is easier, and you don't see it yourself because you're the one experiencing it. But then if you stop and have a moment of clarity, or just a moment of like, if you just stop and think like consciously, and compare how you were at this time last year or 5 years ago, you will notice that like there's like significant differences that you just don't notice because you're the one living the day-to-day life. But before rushing all the way to the present, I will say some things about the beginning part of my treatment that basically formed the foundation of everything that I am today, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. So I was first treated in South Africa, in Johannesburg, in a hospital called Mill Park Hospital for burns. And that was where they saved my life. That's where they basically made sure that I didn't die. They made sure that I stayed on this side, and they used the skin on my torso to cover every other part of me. All the major surgeries that you see, like all the major skin grafts that anyone sees on me, which is on my hands and on my legs, my entire, like my legs, my hands, my face, my back, my head, my scalp, and yeah, those are the major places that burned. My upper body as well, my neck, all that stuff was covered up with skin, cadaver skin, and skin from my torso. So during that time, I mean, obviously the most difficult time in for anyone going through burn recovery, that beginning time, like the first like 7 months or so, is like the hardest time. That's when all the major stuff happens, especially with pain. And then once you start healing properly, then that's when the itching happens. And the itching thing is like a spectrum thing, really. Some people don't have it as intensely as others, and I happen to be on the extreme end of the spectrum with the itching, where like the itching was like much worse than the pain for me. Like I would take pain any day over the kind of itching I dealt with. But I was told that because of having excessive like melanin, the more melanin you have, the more likely you are to have like extreme scarring, and also the more prone you are to the effects of like the itching that comes with the burns. So because of that, basically my experience with the itching was really bad. But I will say that when I moved here to America, they gave me a combination of medications that helped, which was Benadryl and Atarax, and that's pretty much what I took from the beginning. That's all I've been taking since then, and also the kind of lotion that they gave to me, which was called Hydrofor. That was something that like I used up until last year when they discontinued Hydrofor, which sucked and confused me for a very long time. 'Cause I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like that's all I use, you know. But then I told trainers, and we came up with a combination of like a bio oil and aquaphor that works for me now. But yeah, that was like a very scary phase because like, you know, we have specific things that we use that you can't just like use anything on your skin, you know. It doesn't, what works for one person may not work for another person. So that was like really scary. But yeah, that was what they did for me with the itching. Now, the burn scars themselves, I mean, in the beginning it was extreme. You know, I was in the when everything was healing. Just to refer specifically to a question that someone had about the bumps that appear on your skin, like when you first have the grafts, and then they tell you to wear the pressure garments and all that. I did all that stuff. Like I had to wear the pressure garments. I had to wear, it wasn't full body, it was like my hands, my legs, my face. I had to wear like the face one, which is the worst one. But I will say, unfortunately, that those things do work. I mean, they work for sure. Like it's just very uncomfortable, and you're not going to see results immediately. If you're looking for, the thing about this journey is that you can't expect anything to happen overnight, and you can't expect to actually be able to see the progress yourself. Like you probably will not notice when things are better. Like you have to get into a mindset where you're just living your life, and then one day you just realize, oh my god, like I didn't used to be able to do that before, and now I can. So my point being that if you're in the treatment, you're in the healing stage, you really can't be too, you can't consciously be in that stage. You have to live your life as you're going through the healing stage. You have to just live your life as you're going through the recovery. Because if you're going through the recovery and you're conscious of it, it's going to go so slowly because you're literally counting the days up until when you're going to be better. And that's not something you can afford to do with like injuries and burn healing, because it's a long journey that takes, it spans over years, you know. So I mean, anyone that has been burned for years will tell you, you know, like, you know, it's not, you don't see results overnight, except for, of course, actual surgery. Like, you know, if you have like a hand that's like, because my hand, one of my hands was like bent like that, and I did a surgery that like did this. I mean, that's like obviously an immediate thing you're going to notice. Like it happened, they worked on that, like they cut you open, so it's going to change. But it's not going to stay that way if you don't wear like the right stuff that they give to you, you know. If you don't wear the pressure garments or the splints and all the different things that they do and tell you about in physiotherapy about, if you don't do those things, then the maintaining of the areas that were worked on will not happen, basically. So a lot of it is also like it's a partnership really between yourself and your doctors and your physiotherapist. You guys all have to, they can't only do, if they do their part, you don't do your part, then everything's just going to go back to the way it is basically. Because these scars, they're always moving. Like I said, like that's all it does. Like and there's nothing that the skin wants to do than to find the easiest way to mend itself. And a lot of times with burn scars, we're trying to find ways to not to not let things go back to the way that they were. You know, if my hand's like this and they do a surgery to straighten it out, it's going to want to heal back in this same position because that's just the fastest way for it to heal. So everything about the surgery is forcing the skin to do something that it's not, that it doesn't want to do basically. And that's like what the pressure garments and the splints are for. So it's not only to like, you know, help you maintain that like stretch or maintain that progress that was gotten in the surgery, but also to make sure that when that things heal the right way, you know, heal flat as possible. Like that's really what the goal is, to see how much progress we can get, but not necessarily 100%. So another thing I want to seg you into, you cannot expect to look the same exact way that you used to look before whatever injuries that you're dealing with now. If you're trying to go back to that, you're going to be, you're going to live a life of disappointment, and you don't want that. You have to just see it as becoming the best version of yourself after what you've gone through. That's what it is. So every single day is a day that's better than the last, but there's no going back in time. There's nothing like that. All you can do is, now that you've been dealt with this hand, how best can I live my life with this hand I've been dealt with in life? And if you change your mindset and your outlook to that, then you're more likely to be impressed by, you know, the progresses that you make, you know, because if you're always comparing to your past self, nothing's ever going to compare to that because you weren't burned then. It's as simple as that. But if you could say like, okay, today I'm like this, tomorrow if I keep wearing this, I don't know how it's going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be a little better. And then like 5 years down the line, you're going to feel even better, and every single day is just going to get better and better. But you're not trying to reverse time. You're trying to make the best of what you have right now. So my skin is never going to, like, it's never going to look, this area that didn't burn, this is never going to happen to this area that was burned and was grafted over. But if I show you a picture from 10 years ago when they first did this surgery, you will not believe like the difference. First of all, it was black. That's how it was. Like I'm like more fair skinned. I'm Nigerian, but I'm fair skinned. And a lot of my pigmentation was lost because of the surgeries and the grafts that I did and the burns. So I really didn't know what the deal was going to be with my skin. Like, was it just going to stay like dark, or was it going to lighten up, or was it just going to do whatever else it wanted to do, you know? I mean, obviously I didn't really care whatever color it became because I was just happy to, you know, be alive and actually have skin covering me again and everything. But to my surprise, as time passed, like the pigmentation, my natural pigmentation kind of started to seep through my scars, and it's never going to go back to like exactly how it was before. But I just found it interesting that that was something that happened, and no one even told me that they weren't even sure if it would happen. But naturally, like as the skin just kind of like um, blended together and merged with my normal skin, it just started like my natural pigmentation started to like seep through the grafted skin as well. And I don't know if you probably can't tell, but you can still see like some ridges from like when they first did. Yeah. So, and this is like 14, I did the surgery. This was the first surgery they ever did for me, like in South Africa, like 14 years ago. So those ridges are like not probably never going to really go away, but they're way flatter now than when they first did this surgery on me, you know? And so that's what the splints and the pressure garments and things like that, that's what consistency with those garments does. It flattens over time. The more you wear it, the better for you, obviously. And you know, as you keep getting better, then your skin is going to keep blending better. And so that's really the goal. The keyword is just better. Progress. That's the keyword, progress, and things getting better and better and better. But there's no, as far as I know, there's no like end goal really. It's just to get better each day, you know, and not forgetting that, you know, you have a life aside from your burns to live. You know, your burns are not everything about you. They're just a part of your story. So you just, when you live with them as part of your story while you're living your life and doing everything else you love to do, then it just becomes a part of you, which is what it is, you know? So that's, I guess, really all I want to say without any like questions, specific questions. But really, I guess it's more for me about your attitudes towards what you've gone through. You know, it can make a whole, like, just the right attitude can shift perspectives and even help with your healing too, because whether you know it or not, emotional and mental healing is so important for physical healing as well. Like, such a big deal. You know, outlook changes, it can affect your physical healing as well. So yeah, I really want people to kind of take that away from everything I've, said today. And also just know that I am open to any questions as specific as you want to get, really, regarding any other part of this journey. You know, we're in this together. So yeah.
Well, I like. I know we've talked before, Keisha, and I loved hearing your story when we met in Tennessee.
In Tennessee, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool meeting you there and hearing a little bit more about you and having a second time chat with you. So
Yeah.
um, I always love hearing you from you, which is cool. Yeah, love your story. Um, and to tell you a little bit about me, Keisha already knows a little bit. But for those of you that don't know me, I was also burned in a house fire when I was 8.5 years old. And I was burned over 75% of my body, losing my fingers, my nose, and it was really bad, and both of my parents as well. And I was in the hospital in Romania, and that's where it was really hard for me. That's because I didn't really have anybody there. My parents were not there anymore; they passed away, and I had an older brother. He was 18 that would come over to the hospital and help me out with everything that I needed help with. And I that kept going on, and I was in the bed, I was in a coma for over 2 weeks. I wasn't sure what was going on. And then after that, two girls from America, they actually came down to Romania for an abroad to visit the orphanages there and to help the kids and, just kind of be around there. And the nurses told them one day that it was my birthday and they should come and visit me and to kind of cheer me up a little bit because I didn't have anybody. So they all came over and brought me some presents, candy, and kind of threw me a little party, just so I could forget about the pain. It was just so much going on, in that little hospital. So instantly we kind of like fell in love with each other. I liked the girls liked me, and after that they just started visiting me almost every day, which was really cool because I didn't have any visitors. And so during that time when I was burned and I didn't have visitors, it was hard for me to sit in bed all day. I was 8.5 years old, and I wasn't sure, like what was happening with me, like in my life or just in general. Even if after I healed, what would happen to me? Would I go
Mhm.
back home? Everything changed, right? So a lot of time there. That's when a lot of the depression kind of started for me. Was I wasn't sure what was happening anymore. It wasn't me. I didn't have my nose and my fingers. My parents were all gone, and so I was very kind of depressed, and not only that too, for me the emotional part where I kind of figured to change was, so the way the fire happened was, my dad was drunk one night and decided to set the house on fire with me and my mom and himself in there. And so after that, I was in the hospital and I was angry. I was, like, how could my dad do that? And that's when a lot of like the emotional kind of like I was just hanging on to, right? And so I was blaming him that it was because of him and this is what happened. And it took me a long time to finally learn to forgive him, and not only him but myself. And because I wasn't the cause of the fire, it wasn't because of me that my dad was angry, and a lot of time I was blaming myself because that's why the fire happened, and that's why everything happened, and I was just kind of tearing myself apart until I met Jessica and Ashley. And after I met Jessica and Ashley, they started, cheering me up with the birthday, and then after that they really liked me, and so they started contacting their families here in America to see what else they could do for me to help me medical wise. And they found the hospital, Shriners Hospitals for Children in LA, that said that they could do all my surgeries at no cost. And so the families then quickly, started planning everything and getting everything ready for me to come to America. But my legs are so badly burned that from like the hip all the way down to the ankle that I wasn't able to walk for months. And what happened was my skin was so weak on my legs that I would lay in bed the whole time.
Mm.
But when I started to put my legs lower than my body, like over the bed, put them down, they would instantly start shooting blood. Like my skin was so weak that my legs would literally just start drooping blood. And so I had to do that, and it felt like mosquitoes biting me every single time I did that. All the blood pressure would go down to my legs, and it would just hurt so bad and start itching. And I would have to do that over and over and over again until my skin finally got strong enough to be able to handle me just putting my legs over the bed. And then after that, the next thing was, I had to learn how to
Learn to
walk
walk.
again, and my ankles were stuck. So I had to figure out how to bend my ankles again. And then I had to put pressure on my legs. And every time I put pressure on the legs, they would start shooting blood again. So I'd have to keep on trying over and over and over again until finally they healed. And that didn't take that took like over 9 months, I would say. And that's when Kechi said the itching part gets really bad, because once I came here to America, I had I also had an infection on my legs too. I forgot what it was called. But once I came here to America, I was able to start walking again, because that was one of the things that I needed to do for
Mm.
myself.
Mhm.
Was I needed to be able to work. Those are my goals. you know like my goals are all gone, but once I met Jessica and Ashley, they gave me a new goal and a new purpose of like,
Mm.
okay, like I didn't know what was happening before, but now I know I'm going to go to America, I'm going to go get surgeries, I'm going to try to get better.
Mm.
So that was like my whole thing. Like I'm going to do whatever I can to get strong, eat food, whatever I need to do, I'll do it so I can get out of here. um but yeah, after I came here, it was crazy because my legs started itching so bad. And then it was like there was nights where like I would like
Just
so I had a bunk bed when I came here. So my brother was on top and I was on bottom, and man, I was itching all night, and my brother would like kind of like shake the bed and be like, yo, stop itching so much. And I was like, I can't
can't
help
help it.
it. I'd wake up in the morning sometimes, and there's literally
Blood.
like scratches, like not so I didn't have fingers, but there was like literally like I was scratching so much that it was tearing the skin off. And that's how it was really bad. So after that, like of him yelling at me in the middle of the night and me not really being able to sleep, I learned that I can like itch myself by like just tapping on the skin, like smacking it.
Mhm.
Just like so that way you're not damaging yourself. And
Yeah.
um yeah, and I just kind of kept on that. I kept having goals in my life that kept pushing me towards, not just like the burns myself that I had to go to the hospital and do all those things, but I also had to go to school. So I came here when I was 9 and a half, and I had to go to school and learn English. I had to, kind of get used to America culture. I'm
Mhm.
sure Kishi had to do the same.
Same experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like another thing itself. Like I had to learn English, I had to get used to America, I had to go to school and get surgeries. So it was a lot to handle, but those goals really kind of just kept me on a road where I just
Mhm.
kept going, and I didn't
Yeah.
really look back. Like Keisha said, you just once you're there, you have to learn to live your life with what you have.
What you have.
And so I kind of was in that. But as I moved all over the place, and as soon as I got to Utah, I was finishing high school. I'm 21 years old, by the way. I was finishing up high school here. Um, and everything kind of slowed down for me. I wasn't having any more surgeries. I wasn't like traveling around and doing public speaking anymore. Everything kind of slowed down. And so now is like adulting, I was like in adulting stage of like, what am I supposed to do with my life now?
Mm.
This is everything that I've done. This is all the things I've done. I've got a documentary, I've got all over Google and all these. And so I wasn't sure what was supposed to happen with me. And I didn't want to go to school anymore because I hated sitting down and listening to teachers and all that. So I tried though. My adoptive parents, now they're like, go to school. It's super good. So I tried going to school. Terrible. Like I was getting like in debt and all that. So I'm like, not doing that. I'm a stubborn kind of guy. So what I decided to do in that aspect kind of make me feel better, because again, when I moved to Utah, I was in California doing all that for 7.5 years. And then once I moved to Utah, I had like 2 years of high school, and I had to start all over again. I had to start with new
Mm,
friends and new this, and I was just tired of it. So I was really depressed, and I started getting with a bad group of friends, and I started, like doing all these bad things. And eventually, after kind of I figured out a little bit, like I need to do something with my life. I'm not going to go to school. I can't stay home, right? So I started I went to Boston, and I started doing sales there, door-to-door sales.
mm,
So I would talk to people and just kind of sell pest control. I was selling pest control,
mm,
and that was the hardest job ever. But me being able to kind of take a little bit of action, and like, yes, I didn't want to go to school, and that was really good, and I didn't know what else to do, but I decided to keep on going and make the best of what I had. And I love talking to people, so I decided to go do sales, and that really kind of turned things around for me a little bit, and giving me a more of a clarity of where I want to be as with the burns and as a person. If that kind of noticed the two differences, right? Because I still have pictures of me when I was not burned, and now I'm burned. So every time I look at that, I'm like, it's two different people. And so you just know it's just, you feel really good when you know that it's the same person. Like, me being angry and sad and pain, I was still the same happy person. It's just I felt like I was alone, and I didn't know that
mm,
there was anybody else around, right? And so I wanted to feel accepted, and by me doing all that, just I felt better, because I liked doing what I enjoyed. And so that's kind of everything. And with everything we do, is that we go through pain, we go through itching, we go through all these things, that it's physical and emotional. But if we put them all together, at the end of the day, they're pretty much about the same, right? The physical pain that you feel versus the emotional pain, they're about the same. Both people can't understand what you're feeling, but if you have one, you're able to kind of help the other, because I've felt the physical pain that I've dealt with, but I also have the physical pain or emotional pain. So I can kind of connect those two, and knowing that, like, they're like, everybody has them, like
mm,
mine is just a little bit different. And so going through all this, I found a lot of people that had physical pain and emotional pain,
mm,
and it just made me feel a little bit more connected to others. And I that's what I really love about the Burn Institute. Is I used to be a part of it when I was a little kid in California and in Arizona. And I love going there and share and connecting with all the different kids, and seeing everybody doing activities and being active, and it was just so cool that everybody had their own difficult time, but everybody kept trying, and everybody was there together as a team and helping each other do certain things. And
mm,
yeah, and I love the Burn Institute. I think they really have helped me a lot, to emotionally and physically, of learning how to deal with things and people, I would say. Um, but that's a little bit about my story, and about me, and who I am. And um, I've never really gone to like physical therapy, or I haven't had the what is it
uh,
called?
the pressure garments.
Yes, the pressure garments. Yeah, I haven't had to wear those. I was, like, again, very stubborn, but at the same time, what I did was I massaged them. So
Mm,
I would take a lot of lotion, and I would sit there for like hours massaging like my skin, like my arm right now. It's really not. It's softened. Oh, there it is. It's like
mm,
softened, but it's still
mm,
got little bumps on it.
mm,
And I really love my scars, because like every day I would look at them, and I would notice something different and unique about it. And to me, it's kind of like art a little bit, and it's just kind of goes all the way up, and there's burnt spots and there isn't. And it's also memory that I've been able to kind of gathered from everything that has happened. And
mm,
you know, in between too, I have some other scars that I've gotten along the way, and I'm like, wow, like what a history on this arm, you know. I got all this burns and this cut right here. This is a cat cut, and you know, like you got all these things. So it's just something to be proud of, and you know, being able to accept yourself. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's all I gotta say right now.
I have a question real quick, and this has to go back with someone said something about a deodorant trick. Can I get the answer on that one? And I want to say your outlook on your scars is amazing. And that's how my wife looks at my scars.
Thank you.
You guys don't know, I'm 75% burnt, 3rd degree, 4th degree on the legs. And I was in a fireball and on fire for around 45 seconds.
Oh my God.
You were
And
in
I
a
can still,
fire-
I can,
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I got covered in oil that was on fire,
Oh man.
and it took them 45 seconds to get me out.
Oh.
Jesus. That's
This is
intense.
Danny, by the way.
Oh, that's hard. Huh?
Hmm.
And how can I ask how you've been able to progress through the whole situation?
Well, what I do is I coat myself up with Aquaphor I like to do it 3 times, but at least 2 times a day. And I used to stick my garments on over the Aquaphor really thick, and they would hold the moisture in.
Mhm.
And I have forced every one of my body parts to move every day, every minute. My wife holds on to my hand. I don't know if you can see, it's dark because we're traveling right now. But my hand, so that's my hand how it normally sits. And then I can straighten it pretty much now.
Wow. That's
I've got
awesome.
it to go to there.
Wow.
Just the other week, I got it to do that. I'm 1
Hey.
year out on my burns. November 18th was my accident.
Oh my God.
And
Nice.
a transformer exploded. So it was like a bomb going off. And I was 4 feet in
Jesus.
front of it.
Wow.
You know, and I got the same where it goes
Scars
down my arm.
everywhere. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I'll show you guys this real quick. You guys get a kick out of this. The movers were there. And I got this scar on my belly from my gallbladder being taken out a couple months ago.
Oh my
Right
God.
there. See that scar?
Yeah, I see it.
I'm like, yeah, they ruined me.
No,
That's a pretty good joke. They ruined me on my gallbladder scar. Don't worry about the rest of it.
No more about the rest. No, just that one. Yeah.
That one right there.
I love it.
Wow.
What was the other couple? They had the deodorant.
I wasn't
thing
here
that
for that.
worked
What is that?
What is that?
All right. So Lori, do you remember this trick at all? Did you ever see it? So they
Are
take
you
all
asking
the deodorant out. I'm sorry?
Are you asking myself? Or are you asking
Yeah.
Danny?
Uh-huh.
So
Lori,
I have-
do you remember? I mean, you
I have
Go ahead.
not heard of that. So actually, I think that is something that you should share because that's actually a really ingenious way of moisturizing burn scars. And I think no matter what your abilities as far as hand and whatsoever, it's kind of a combination moisturize and massage. So definitely
Right.
please share that with us.
Okay. So the roll-on deodorants like Secret and a couple of, that's old school kind of technology, if you will. I haven't seen them on the shelves, but I'm sure they still exist. The roll-on, what we did was we cut the back out, not the whole thing, just part of it, took all the deodorant out, washed it out with hot water, and then we filled it with the cream that we were using at the time, and basically
like roll on the cream. Oh my
right.
God.
So since the pressure point is localized, when you push down, you don't need a whole lot of pressure to actually break up the scar tissue. And we would, I would do it to them and they would do it to themselves eventually. And yeah, I don't know if somebody told us about it or if I came up with it. I came up with all kinds of crazy things. But I think that one probably was like the most beneficial as far as, you know, other than burn garments and the massage and stuff. That really seemed to work. And that seemed to work faster than anything else. But obviously, you're breaking up scar tissue. There you go. Is that
Here,
is
this
that
is,
cream?
they still sell Ban, yeah, and that's a great idea.
Okay.
Ban roll on.
Yeah.
What'd you do? You just cut the bottom off it?
Yeah, I think I drilled a hole. I didn't cut the whole bottom off. I
Oh.
drilled a hole, then pulled it, or wait till you're done with it, obviously.
Yeah.
And then wash that with hot water, and then replaced it with cream. And
That's
I think I put tape on the back. You could actually find a plug that'll work.
Yeah.
But I remember, this is kind of bringing stuff back to me. I think I remember looking online, and I think you can actually buy the empties, like not used. Like, I think there's a company that sells something like that you can actually unscrew. Or maybe it's something I thought about doing. I don't know.
There is, Rudy, there are the essential oil type places. They have roll-ons for essential oil. So you could get one of those empty bottles, because a lot of those companies sell them and actually do the same thing.
Right.
That's
So
a
What
really
kind of
cool
lotion
idea.
did work the best for you?
You know, Maribel went through lots of stages. So the Hydrofor, somebody mentioned that isn't available anymore.
Yeah.
Was it Hydrofor?
Hydrofor.
Yeah, I
That
remember
was
that.
my
I remember
absolute
that
favorite.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that from Shriners.
Yeah,
And
trainers.
then she went to Aquaphor.
Aquaphor,
And
yeah.
she also, what's the newest one you're using? The CeraVe.
Survey. Could you spell that,
Costco has
please?
it. CeraVe.
Survey.
It's CERAVE, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
ERAVE.
Right.
Yeah, I use that.
But
That thing is great.
yeah,
Is
I
it
have
water
found
based?
that the CeraVe, I think it's water based.
Yeah?
I think it is. But I have found that if you have like rash or something, that is not the best one, because it contains something that, at least my skin, it irritates my skin.
Oh, okay.
She also had somebody who just went straight, what's the
Oh,
petroleum
that
jelly?
one. That is
Yeah,
the one
that's
I
CeraVe.
use.
Yes, CeraVe.
It's not too thick. That's what I like for
Yeah,
the
because that's why I don't
lotion.
like Aquaphor. It's
Not-
really thick, and I like put bio oil in it and mix it to make it like.
I feel like I'm
Yeah,
getting
me
an,
neither. No.
an infomercial. a
Right,
commercial.
you have everything.
That's hilarious. She has all that.
But
I was gonna say, my husband uses, what do you use again?
Palmer's cocoa butter.
He uses cocoa
Okay.
butter, and I can't stand it on my skin. I am, again, like the princess and the pea. And the only thing I can use
Is that?
Right.
And of
Really
course, it
so-
has to be expensive, but
I like the cocoa butter too. That's what I have. I put on my legs now to kind of soften and get the hydrate, the
Mm.
water stuff in there. But yeah, that's
I
think-
Too.
wait.
They make
So a couple
lotion,
things I've
too,
tried.
pump bottle.
is African shea butter
Yep.
combined with Aquaphor or emu oil, and all of those work great for me.
Hmm.
The African shea butter, you mix it up with a lotion, and it did really good for the scar tissue, but your skin would dry out if you didn't cover it up with Aquaphor or something.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with creams. I don't like the cream-based stuff, and I don't like the very thick stuff, because you want something that you want something that would not just lie on the surface of your scars, but like actually, like stay on without having that sticky residue. Which is
Right.
that's why I liked Hydrofor. So
Right.
this CeraVe though, does it have an ointment, and is it water-based? Because that's like my
It's got to be water-based, because it kind of washes off in the shower. And that's what I was going to say about the petroleum-based stuff. If you're wearing garments, it's hard to wash them when it's petroleum-based. And also,
True,
I
yeah.
think it may even break it down a little bit, from what I
Mm,
remember, that
okay.
it may break down the fibers because of the petroleum base on it.
Okay.
But you know what's funny is like the best thing for some people is the worst for others.
That's true.
And that's one thing we always tell people: try different things.
Different
because
things.
there was a woman who swore by Vaseline. That's all.
Yeah, I
she
know
put on
someone too.
herself.
I know someone.
Yeah.
I know I have a friend, Bern, also, yeah, Nigerian. That's what she uses. She uses Vaseline, and I can't imagine using. I tried it, and it just was not even an option for me. But yeah, I mean, she was burned to like 3rd degree as well, but she swears by Vaseline.
Yeah,
So
some
yeah,
people do, and
it's
some people say
interesting.
it clogs their pores and stuff.
Yeah.
But the CeraVe, as long as you don't have a rash or
Mhm.
obviously any kind of open skin.
Yeah,
works.
it's good. Okay, I'm definitely gonna try that. Thank you for
And
that.
back to the point of the roll-on, the essential oil ones, I think they're kind of small. The Ban and I think it was called Tickle. I mean, I don't even know if it's still around. Was it called Tickle? Do you have that too? Oh my God.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. She has everything.
So there,
Wait,
it's-
I have one. I have one potentially. We're gonna test if Kathy has this. So another one that I've heard that is very helpful. It's called Pomada de la Campaña.
Oh,
You can get it
Campana.
actually at Walmart. Do you have that one, Kathy? Oh no.
I have one.
She does.
I have one.
That was another good one that I know a lot of parents of child burn survivors has said it has been very helpful, and it's something
What's
that you
the
can get
name,
again.
please?
Pomada, so Pomada de la la.
Oh, got it. Pomada de
Pomada de la
Campana.
Campaña.
Campana. Okay.
Okay, that pomada is, we use it in Mexico, but most for bruises or how do you say golpes?
Bruises, yeah.
Bruises, yeah. When you hit and you don't want, it's like arnica.
Nobody uses that.
Okay, nobody uses it.
No.
Well, something more for bruises.
I see. Then
Because
like for
it's a really small container, like this size.
yeah, it
really
looks really small. Just
Mhm.
seeing it, yeah.
So I heard tickle, what is that a lotion or?
You say tickle.
You know, I'm 56 years old, so it may be off the market, but it was a roll-on.
Okay, go to Ben. Go for Ben.
Go for Ben, yeah. It was called Tickle. Anybody else remember that commercial? I don't know. It was a big roll-on.
That sounds like a good name, good company name. Tickle. Do you?
Yeah, it was kind of marketed like a sex toy, but it wasn't. I mean, it was marketed like it was. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. It was marketed like a.
I don't
funny,
have
like,
one of
oh,
those.
look, Tickle. Yeah. Yeah.
Tickle.
It was kind of it wasn't a play on words, but it was marketing, but it was called Tickle. Yeah.
Tickled. Huh.
Just forget everything I said.
I'm trying to learn more about what you said now.
I think that's the amazing thing, though, is that there's so many products and there's so many different things out there that people can use with regards to address, physical scarring and itching and dry skin, and just even in terms of just developments in surgeries and what they can do surgically and what they can do with, other medical equipment and devices. There's so many things that they can do to address those physical scars. I want to know, Marius and Kechi, how you guys have addressed your emotional scars, how you've addressed how all that has hit you, or has it, hit you to a point where you've had to figure out new ways to cope and deal and manage with it? Because that's the harder thing for many people, is you can get past and set goals and move forward and through your physical healing with whatever methods you need to, but sometimes broaching that emotional healing and walking through those emotional scars and how they sit with you. How have you dealt with that?
You want to go first, Marius?
Yeah, I could go. I mean, so even now I still have time like that I'm depressed or sad and anxious and angry and all those feelings that one might feel that is suffering. And so the way I deal with it now, I mean, before I've had like, I've never, so like I've mentioned before, I haven't gone to a therapist before. The closest thing that I've done was the Burn Institute, you know, and that was a lot for me. I really enjoyed that because everybody has a story there, everybody's unique, and everybody can connect to one another. And I really love that. So I always kind of always looked back to those moments when I was having a hard time, when I was suffering or I felt something emotional. I always kind of look back and I tried to find the worst time for me that I was able to overcome. And even in Romania, when I was there for those 2 weeks all alone, or more than that, but I was in Romania all alone, and I would watch, it was really hard for me when I was seeing a lot of things happen all around me, and it was really hard. So, now I kind of go back and I feel sad about it, but I go back and I'm like, I was able to overcome that specific time when I was able to put my legs over the bed, and when I was bleeding and it was hurting so much, I was able to overcome that, and here I am, and I'm still going. So when I turned 18, like I mentioned, it was a really hard time for me because everything stopped. I came to America. I was going to get surgeries. I was like traveling all around doing public speaking. And I really enjoyed it. And I was getting a lot of surgeries and I was going to school. So I never really had time for myself until after high school. And after high school, I was getting, again, about too much time, too much things to think about now, right? So I got this tattoo before I turned 18, and it says never give up. And then I just got these two, love and hope, like 4 months ago, I believe. But I got the never give up before I turned 18, and I had my adoptive mom sign for it. I wanted her to be part of it because she was part of that progress of me not never giving up. And so it was just, like one thing after another, but we kept going. I kept going because I've realized that there's a lot of great people by my side that are willing to help, and they appreciate me for everything that I'm doing, and so pain wise, like, just keep on going, never give up. Like, there's just so many things that one can experience, and we can never understand that. But if we're there for one another, it really helps lighten the situation a lot more. And so the pain that I felt, and physically and mentally, it's hard, but I'm sure you guys have had the same. And the only thing I could say is just be there for one another and helping and talking things through. It really helps. Um, so if you ever, like, this right here, what we're doing, I think this is an amazing thing that we can all get it together, and we're all positive. We all share the same things, and we're able to hopefully motivate one another, and realizing that there's other people like us around the world, and we can do it surely but slowly, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. Yeah, Mars, your story is what date, do you know the date you were burned, by the way?
Yeah,
You
that
do,
was
right?
December 10th or
December
8th.
10th?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't even.
That's I saw that on your Instagram. I was just confirming because that's the same date that I was burned too. December 10th, different year, I think, but the same date. So I thought that's actually the first time I saw that, and that's when I started following you. Like, I was like, oh, that's what a weird coincidence. Like,
Because we were supposed to go to the same Shriners, right?
I think so. Yeah, the one in
Yeah.
Galveston. Yeah.
Easy.
But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, your story is way more. I don't know. It just sounds like you went through a lot. There's a large part of it that you had to deal with by yourself. Especially in the beginning. And I think that that's incredibly. That must have been incredibly difficult, and definitely also shaped the like the foundation of your healing. Is one that basically has shaped you who you are, like shaped you into who you are today, basically. And I think that it just shows incredible strength, like personal strength for you, because you went through something very, very young, at a time in your life when you should have had like all the support in the world, and you overcame all that, and you're here today. I mean, you're a sign of like human resilience. Basically, that's what you are. I think that you're really incredible, you know, and you're positive, you're here. You're also a sign that no matter what kind of thing life does to us, we don't, there's many options in how we can handle it emotionally. We can't really control the physical because that's just what it is. The physical is what it is. The burns are what they are. But the way that I mean, obviously you've had your ups and downs, but you're here today. You're a positive young man. I mean, and you did a lot of growing with the help of your step parents, obviously, but also personally too, you know. And so I feel like you're a really good sign of just the fact that someone can go through something so intense and still, you know, be a positive, good person. I think that that's a really big thing for me to take away today. Just letting you know. Yeah, I'm really encouraged by you. um, but okay, so to really just to, I guess, to give my own angle, it's quite, I guess my beginnings are a little different from Marius's for sure. First of all, I had my accident was, I said already, was a plane crash, and uh, it was a commercial plane. I was heading home from school. I went to boarding school in Nigeria, and there were 61 students from my school, and a lot of other passengers that I didn't know, just a regular flight. And there were only 2 survivors. So it was just myself and another lady I didn't know that survived. So all the other kids from my school passed away. And the other lady didn't have any burns, which is interesting. But we became friends down the line anyway. And we met because, you know, we connected over the fact that, you know, we survived something so horrific through no effort of ours, obviously. But yeah, so hmm? Oh, sorry. Um, but yeah, so after the accident happened, I was moved immediately to South Africa because Nigeria didn't have the infrastructure to care for the level of burns that I sustained. And when I moved there, I moved with my mom. So my family is something that I've had by my side from even before I opened my eyes from my coma. I was in a coma for 5 weeks after the accident, and then um, opened my eyes, and the first face I saw was, well, my nurse's face, but then I saw my mom's face. And so having that family support, the support system that I had from the beginning, I have to say, is a very big reason why I was able to um, recover, not just physically, but as almost completely emotionally and mentally stable as possible from what happened to me. My family and my support system play a very big role in that. They were there from the beginning, and they are still there, you know. And I know for sure that I would not be the Kechi that you see here today in front of you if not for the kind of support system I had. And it's not just family, it's not just blood. You know, support system is not just blood. You know, I'm talking about the physiotherapist that I had at the time that I hated because she was just a representation of everything painful as far as I was concerned, especially in that time. I did not like Maya at all, but she was such a key. She just refused to give up on me, no matter how much I cried or just no matter how rude I was to her and how I didn't want to listen to her or do anything she said. I mean, I knew I still had to do those things and I resented her for it, but she would just keep on me and she'd just be like, look, I mean, she had tough skin. She was like, it's for your own good. It's like, I'm not going to let it go. And I'm just so grateful that she didn't, because she was instrumental in my learning how to walk again, learning how to climb stairs, sitting up, holding my own spoon, you know, everything that I just was too exhausted and too everything, it just hurt too much to do these things, but she would insist, you know. And so because of her, I had some level of motor skills before I came to America. And so it's people like that really that you have in your corner that will support you and just encourage you to do the things you're supposed to do, even especially, in fact, especially when you don't want to do them. Those are the kind of people that should be in our support systems. And I happen to have just an extensive number of people like that. So I never really had a chance to ever think that I could not overcome what was going on, because I was just surrounded by so many people who just believed that I could. And so I just could not give up because they didn't give up on me, you know? So I will say that a lot of the time, especially in the beginning, I was really doing all that stuff for them, especially for my mom. I mean, there was nothing, she was my reason for living at that time. Like, she was the reason why I would do all the surgeries and do all the physiotherapies and everything. I would make the effort because of her, because I wanted to see her smile, and because she just so believed in just a future where I would be standing and walking and doing different things that I just could not see myself ever doing again. So because of her belief in me, I I did what I was supposed to do, basically. And for a long time, that was what it was. My support system basically were the reason why I did all the things I did. Not because I believed I could do them, but because they believed I could. And then eventually, even though that's how it started, it became something personal. Somewhere down the line, I don't know exactly where, it just became, oh, well, I mean, look, I walked today from like the end of the like hallway to the other. I wonder if I can go further. I wonder if I can go. Let me see if I can. So it just became like it started becoming the personal challenge. Like, how far can you really go, Kechi? How long can you go without your meds? How long can you sit up here? How long can you climb those stairs? How about the second flight of stairs? Like, so I started realizing, like, the more you push yourself, the more you can do. And of course, there's sometimes you push yourself further than you're supposed to, and then you learn, and then you backtrack a little bit, but then you just keep going. And honestly, that was where I started to see, like, wow, human beings, like, we are actually pretty awesome, because like just a few months ago, I could not do anything but lie down. And now I'm walking upstairs. This is really crazy. Okay, so maybe I can, like, if I keep going, I wouldn't need my wheelchair anymore. Okay, so maybe if I keep doing this, maybe I can give myself a shower. Maybe I can brush my own teeth, and I feel like I just kept on trying to see what else can we really do with this skin, with this body that doesn't want to listen to me. Like, how much more can I push this body? What can we do? And that's really what made me see, like, the resilience that we all have inside of us. I feel like every single person is born with an endless amount of resilience, and when life happens, it challenges that resilience, and I take it as a challenge, like, okay, so you think you can do this to me? Well, I'm gonna show you what I can do, and I feel like that's really the approach that has helped me the most, to really believe in that human resilience that can be forced out of a person, a little too, like, a lot of, because of different life experiences. Some of us have to kind of grasp onto that resilience a little harder than other people, but we all on different levels have to deal with challenges to that resilience. All of us here have dealt with extreme challenges to that resilience, but we're all here on this call, and it just goes once again to prove my point that we are constantly growing and stretching that resilience. So I want to say, yeah, one thing, my support system, that's what they did for me, to teach me that endless human resilience that every single one of us has inside of us, especially people who've gone through something as intense as what we've gone through. Another thing I would say for the emotional part, I didn't really have a lot of therapy. I do remember the attempt at giving me a therapist, and I don't believe he he did not really think that I was handling things. He felt like I was burying things. I wasn't dealing with my problems. But the truth is, I had the therapy I needed. With, like, my family and the people I had around me had just done so much work on me already. Like, by the time he got to me, he felt like I was avoiding, and when I tell him I'm actually doing okay, he just felt like I wasn't, he felt like someone who'd gone through what I'd gone through. And at this time, I'd found out that, the truth about the accident, which they didn't tell me everyone had passed away and all my friends were gone until they were sure I was stable enough to hear that kind of news. So I got the therapist after that, and so he expected, like, me to just be a wreck and not know how to deal with anything and be depressed and confused. And I was that way for the first couple of days, because I didn't understand, I thought everyone survived. Like, I thought, yeah, they were maybe worse was that they were as burned as I was, but, like, I didn't think it was, like, fatal. I didn't realize how bad it was. So after they told me, I had to obviously deal with the emotional um stress of realizing that all those people were gone, all my friends that were in that plane were gone, and it just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand how God could just, like, allow something like that to happen, all these kids to just be gone, and then leave one person. And I really didn't even feel like, I mean, if I was going to choose someone to survive something like this, I would not be my first choice. I knew so many of my friends were just such great students, great people, great Christians, like, and I just felt like there's, like, so many other choices. Like, how would I be the person, like, for what reason? I didn't understand the logic behind just two people surviving something and, like, 107 people just dying on the spot. It didn't make any sense to me, especially as a Christian. And I think the main thing that I learned during that time with just talking with my mom and everything she told me was that that's the whole point. The point is that there's no why to this kind of thing. You know, looking for people spend their lives looking for why did this happen, and waste their lives searching for answers that don't exist. And a lot of times that's why a lot of people get stuck in a spiral, you know, of depression. You're trying to figure out why this happened. What is the reason behind this? When we actually live in a very flawed world where there's no picking and choosing who good and bad happens to. You know, being a Christian did not exempt me from bad things happening to me. And I learned that the hard way. I realized that it's really just for me realizing that there was no picking and choosing here. You know, if there was, I would probably not be the first person that would be picked to survive anything. But that's not how life works. There's no choosing. Things just happen. And then what really matters after they happen is how you deal with the fallout. So, you know, Kechi, what are you going to do? Are you going to deal with the fallout by just, you know, moaning and groaning about how, you know, why did you survive this? And also complaining about how, you know, you've lost all these people. You know, what then would be the point of you surviving something like this if all you do with that life that was saved was to just spiral in depression and questions that have no answers? I felt like then that it would make me feel even worse to live like that, because then there would be no reason why I was saved. So instead of looking for the reason why this happened, I decided that I would be better served to transform all this grief into a kind of strength that I draw from all the people that passed away. You know, I now felt like I owed them the I owed it to them to live this life that was saved as fully and wonderfully, as excellently as possible, because any other thing, anything less than that would be an insult to their memories. And this is not a train of thought that came to me like, oh wow, like randomly, like just occurred to me. No, this is from all the talking with my mom, with my grandma, with my dad, with myself, you know, praying, and just come to the realization that none of these people would be happy if they saw me crying every day and just deciding that this is all I want to do with my life, just be depressed and cry and just stay by myself and isolate myself. That would just be such a waste. I want them instead to be proud of me. I want them to see that this life that was saved is actually doing something useful. It's doing something helpful. It's this life, I'm really happy that this life was saved. And it wasn't just about those that passed away. It was even more important to me, to the parents of those kids who passed away, to the loved ones who were left behind, to see this life that was saved doing everything that it possibly can to thrive as much as possible, you know, because their kids didn't have the chance that I had. And so I wanted to be a beacon of hope to them. And I knew that they were praying for me. They were all supporting me. A lot of these parents saw my life as like the one good thing that came out of this horrible situation. And I couldn't let that down. I couldn't let them down. So I put this pressure on myself to go through all my therapy, do everything I'm supposed to do, keep challenging the edge of my resilience, and see what else I can do, and surpass every expectation the doctors had about what I could do and what I couldn't do. And just really do my best to live a life that would make them proud if they were here today. So for me, I did my best, and I still do it till today, to turn my grief into that strength, you know. And so everything that I do, I see them in my mind, and I'm doing it for them. When I graduated college, that degree was not just for me, but it represented their lives as well, because they didn't get that chance that I got. And so I wanted to do everything I did, everything I do, all the chances I take, I do it because I want them to be proud of me. I want those parents to be proud of me. And so that's really my approach to life, I guess. That's it, like really stretching the edge of my resilience and appreciating that emotional support that I got from my support system, and understanding that my life is not just my life. You know, I'm representing 60 other lives, you know, and 107 other lives, you know, that did not make it that day. So yeah, I guess that's really what it is for me. I guess the really long story short would be understanding like that what matters is not, how do I put it? I think the most important thing is not about, like, it's important, what happens to you is important, obviously, but like, I feel like even more important than what happens to you is how you react to what happens to you, if that makes sense. You know, so after you've been dealt with this thing, how are you going to actually, like, how are you going to deal with what happened to you? We have so many options as burn survivors. I know for sure if I had decided that, you know, I want to just stay by myself, isolate myself from the world, no, not a soul, no one would ever judge me if I decided to live my life that way, because they would say what happened to her was extreme. She has the right to do whatever she wants with her life. If she wants to stay cooped up in her house, if she wants to just be by herself, then she has earned that. Like, no one would judge me, no one would blame me. But, you know, there's other options out there too. And, you know, there's always that choice for us to explore those other options, you know, I feel like. So that's, I guess, another thing I can say. Yeah. So I guess resilience, stretching the edges of your resilience, and appreciating your support system. And then, yeah, just choosing how to react to what happens to you, to what happened to us, you know. Yeah, I hope that any of these things help someone today.
I want to thank the both of you for taking time out of your schedule tonight to come and to talk with us and to share not only your stories, your journeys, your walks of life healing, your perspectives, and things that have helped you. Because I honestly feel that it is that sharing of stories, it's that connecting with each other in whatever element we have, whether it be virtual, whether it be in person, just that value of human connection and what your story and your supports and your growth can provide to another person. You have a tremendous impact on this world. And I just really want to thank the both of you for being willing to do that for us tonight.